Hey everybody, long time no see. It's Work From Home Friday. G-chord song, the G-chord song, it's Work From Home Friday. Today we're gonna think about dimensions. You and I live in a 3D world. We have left, right, up, down, near, and far.
This is near. This is far.
We normally call these X, Y, and Z. Now, it's kind of hard for us to see the Z because even though we live in a 3D world, we really only see in 2D. Fortunately, our brains have come up with some tricks to figure it out. For instance, if something is larger, then it's probably closer. Here's another way to think about it. Let's look at Mario, who lives in the world of Super Mario Brothers. Mario lives in a 2D world. But what does Mario actually see? Well, since he lives in a 2D world, he can only see in 1D. If Mario were to look into a mirror, this is what he would see. When Mario looks this way, he sees a green pipe and a cloud in the sky. When he looks the other way, he can see a question block and some brick blocks and so on. Now, because Mario has perspective, he can see the bottom of these blocks, but he can't see what we 3Ders would call the side of the block. In fact, in Mario's world, there's no such thing as the side. Imagine how mind-blown 2Der Mario would be if I, a 3Der, tried to explain the side to him. Would he even be able to grasp it? What if I told him he didn't have to jump over the Goomba, he could go around it? He would probably think I was nuts for even believing in something called around. Or maybe he would realize that I was not a natural 2Der. I was something beyond the nature of his 2D world. I was supernatural. In fact, a 2Der who met a 3Der might even think he was some kind of god. How else could this 3Der see that there was a Goomba behind the pipe? He's omniscient, all-seeing. Now let's take it a step further. Imagine that I actually created Super Mario Brothers. In that case, not only could I see behind the pipe, I would know the Goomba was there because I put it there. I would know the nature of a Goomba. I would know how it moves and thinks because I designed it. I could put the Goomba up here on top of the pipe. Or I could put the Goomba nowhere at all. I would be all-powerful or omnipotent. Okay, let's take a step back. It turns out that in Mario's world and in ours, there's another dimension that we haven't talked about yet. Time. In our 3D world, I could describe where the Rubik's Cube is using X, Y, and Z. But what about now? It moved. It's not there anymore. Now it's here. So I need a fourth dimension. When. It's really hard for us to visualize X, Y, and Z plus when. The nerds call it space-time. Let's go back to Mario's 2D world and see what it looks like. We can see this piranha plant going up and down. Remember Mario's 1D perspective? Well, here's what the plant looks like to Mario. Now imagine that we could see the when. Fortunately for us 3Ders, we can see in 2D. So all we need to do is take Mario's view and then add another dimension that we're going to use for time. So the piranha plant was visible now, and then later it's not. This is also true for us in the 3D world. It's just a lot harder to visualize. This scene from Star Wars kind of gives you an idea. There's also a really dumbed down 2D version of it called a timeline. Here's a perfect example, my favorite one-page book. It's the timeline of the Bible, and it stretches way out to show all of the events that took place over time. But since I'm looking at it from an extra dimension, I can put my hand on Adam and Jesus simultaneously, even though they lived thousands of years apart. Now imagine a supernatural being that lives outside of our 4D spacetime. Just like the 2Ders viewed the 3Der as omniscient, this being to us would be able to see all of space and time simultaneously. Omniscient. Now take it a step further. Imagine that this being actually created our 4D space-time and could manipulate it. All-powerful, omnipotent. This is how I visualize the God of the Bible. He made our space and time and exists outside of it and has influence over it. Now, according to the Bible, my ultimate goal as a meager 3D'er is to join God. At the end of my timeline, I leave space and time to be where God is. When the Bible talks about eternity in heaven or hell, I think that's what this really means. Living without time, either with God or without God. What does this actually look like? I don't know. I'm just a measly 3D'er. But if you want to hear some more about my understanding of heaven and hell, check out this really old video. It's actually not very good. Or you could subscribe, and I'm eventually going to make a new one and put it down here. I'll see y'all next time.